Well, hello and welcome to our front yard garden. Actually, it's going to be our entire yard garden here in the South Carolina upstate. This is episode 2 for 2025, and we did just our first one last week. It wasn't a traditional tour of the garden. We just talked about planting bulbs, and the weather was so beautiful that day. You'd think it was May, but it was actually early February. Now today it's February 14th. It's Valentine's Day. Still a nice day. It's late afternoon, around 5:30. Pretty clear skies. It's only about 50 degrees though. It's kind of chilly. And we're just going to kind of do a quick overview of what we've got going on right now in our yard. And we'll keep doing this. The videos will probably keep getting a little bit longer as the weeks go by, as more things come up. And right now, here in the mailbox bed, you can see we've got one daffodil in bloom, which is there are more of those, but that's really the only flower right now. We have some other things coming up, some irises and some tulips even. A lot of tulips just starting to come up, a lot of daffodils, but that's it for the blooms so far. Now over here, kind of the same thing. We have a lot of things that will bloom later on. These knockout roses here usually do very well. And then we've got viburnum, we've got not rhododendrons, but azaleas, lots and lots of irises, lots of stuff coming up. And so there's going to be a lot to see as we continue through the spring. One thing that we've already done, I did this last week, was to cut back this huge butterfly bush. It was starting to come out with flowers already. I'm sorry, flowers, not flowers, but leaves. But this thing was much larger, probably 5 times this size. I cut most of it back because it had just kind of outgrown its natural ability to flower. So hopefully we'll get more flowers. You can see the trunk there is very, very extensive. So again, we should have a lot coming up later on. Even within the next 2 or 3 weeks, I think we're going to start to get more color than what we've got right now. We've just got, again, a lot of daffodils, tulips coming up, some hyacinths here and there, even a few snapdragons. Not sure what these will do. They usually only give us about 3 or 4 years, and I think this is the 4th year, so we'll find out how those perform. We've had a couple of daffodils here. This is usually the first group in our yard that will bloom every year. A lot of times even in early or mid-January. This year it was a little bit later, so this was a pretty cold winter. Got some more tulips here, just breaking ground. Some here, some here. We put in some bulbs last week, if you were watching the video with my wife Jenny. And so any case, we had those daffodils blooming last week, a couple weeks ago even, over there, and I don't know if they're going to do anything more or if they're done for the year already, but we'll find out. Hollies here, we've really just started getting all these berries recently. They just were greenery for a long time, but now they're really giving us some nice bright red berries, which is, you kind of associate that with Christmas time. And we've got our orange tree over here, not looking real great, but they don't like this cold. We've really had a bad winter, a tough winter. Lemon tree there, a couple smaller lemon trees there. None of them are really doing anything right now. Time will tell if they do anything once we get some warmer weather. Now this is the one set of daffodils that's doing really well here, really looking robust, very colorful. What I started to say earlier was that our winter has been very cold here, colder than typical, especially in terms of the length of the cold weather. We always get some cold, but there's a little miniature rose here, or dwarf knockout rose. And a lot of them have some growth on them, even these climbing roses here. Lots of leaves getting started, so you know, there's going to be a lot going on here before too long. We're coming around to the side. We've actually already had a couple of flower buds on these snapdragons, so this should be interesting to see. The, you know, these things coming up out of the concrete. It's the darndest thing. Iris beds here. We have a lot of cleaning up to do. Hollies used to be in this bed. We have to chop these all out. And we've got weeds over in here. There's a lot of work that we're going to need to do once the weather starts to warm up a little more consistently. And anyway, as far as the weather is concerned, it has, it was, if you watched the videos from last fall, it was very pleasant. We didn't get a frost until the, I guess it was December 1st. And then the entire month of December was really cold, and lows as low as 16, which is not the lowest we've ever gotten. We've gotten down to 6 before, but it was just consistently cold throughout January and December and January. And then February, it's been warmer. It's been off and on. Now next week it's going to be cold again. We're going to be down in the 20s at night, several nights. I think one night as low as 20 degrees. So here we have some hyacinths, beautiful purple flowers. Kind of associate those with Easter. Same thing with tulips. That probably won't be the case this year. We still have a lot of dead stuff here. And we've got some digitalis. They never really die off so much. They come back pretty early, and we'll probably start getting some flowers pretty soon. Butterfly bushes getting some leaves on them. None of this stuff will flower for several months, but at least we're seeing some life here, which is kind of nice. You always want to see that in the middle of February. And here, this is kind of interesting. This is a viburnum. Actually getting some early little flower buds and leaf buds. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of activity here this spring. But again, I keep not finishing my statement about the winter. It was just consistently cold throughout January, and then February it's been up and down. And so hopefully after this cold spell in a few days, it'll start to warm up a little bit more consistently as we go through the latter part of the month and head into March. Usually March around here is pretty nice, and we typically get a lot of warm weather, and that's when we really start to see things growing. Haven't done anything down here by the pond. Still have some of the remnants, like this log that had floated in during Hurricane Helene when this was all underwater rather. We had our high water mark right here. Some of the dirt is still up there. Over here, just taking a quick look. Right here on the edge, I had put in some water lilies. Their roots were in a little tiny bucket, but I'm not seeing that right now. Once the weather warms up a little bit, I think those will come back, although I'm not positive. So I'm going to come back up. Again, in a month or so, once we have a chance to get out here and do our usual spring cleanup, this is going to look a lot nicer. We're going to get rid of a lot of the leaves and so forth. Now, we did have our mower come out today, and he mowed for the first time. So this, even though the grass is kind of yellow, it actually looks pretty nice. He got the leaves cleared out in a lot of places, and we had the grass aerated and overseeded last late summer, early fall, and so we're anticipating some better looking yard areas this coming year. Now over here we've got a gardenia. This usually blooms about February. It looks like it's a little behind. Some of the buds don't look super healthy, unfortunately. I'm thinking the cold weather might be behind that. Got more here. If they are going to bloom, it's probably going to be within the next week or two. We do have one that's already bloomed over here. It's worth looking at. These are very pretty, very tropical looking flowers. The plants themselves have really kind of struggled. You know, you get a lot of this brown stuff from the from all the cold. They really do not care for that. And over here, not really much to see other than one little hyacinth right here that's already in bloom, and some more of these daffodils that are coming out early. An interesting thing about our daffodils, unlike the north, when we had daffodils in Ohio, they would bloom pretty much from about mid-March to mid-April, and that was it. You get about a month of them. Here, in an ideal winter, not really much to show here. This is definitely a midsummer garden here. Nothing really coming up, just a lot of dead stuff left over from last year. But yeah, the daffodils here, the first ones will come out mid to late January, maybe early February if it's colder like this year, and we'll still have some, at least the last ones, blooming late April, early May. So you really get a good 3 full months, sometimes 4 if you're lucky with those. And I started to say earlier too about associating the hyacinths and tulips with Easter. Probably won't be the case this year, because Easter is almost the latest that it can ever be. It's going to be April 20th, and by that time down here, probably a lot of our hyacinths and tulips will already be done. So we'll actually be into a lot of our early summer flowers by that time. So it should be interesting to watch all of that. So that's really about it. That's all we have to show right now. Typical mid-February video. But I think there's going to be a lot more greenery, certainly a lot more color in just a few weeks. So stay tuned. We do these every week, and we will see you next time. Until then, hope it's sunny wherever you are, and happy gardening.